Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm now with John Schneider of Property Revival Realty. Welcome back, John. Last week we were talking with you about investing in real estate, and I'm excited to start talking with you about numbers. And I was wondering if you could start off by telling us about your process for evaluating an investment in real estate.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you, there are multiple ways to evaluate an investment in real estate, just like there are multiple ways when you're investing in the stock market or bonds. However, today we're going to talk a little bit about cash-on-cash return, and we're going to go into some other avenues of looking at investments to evaluate how good of an investment something is. But this particular method is much like the stock market version, where you're actually putting $10,000 into a stock market and say it brings $1,000 of return in a year. That's 10% cash on cash. So that's the way we're going to look at the investments here today.
Okay, makes sense. I think a lot of our viewers are familiar with that type of investing. So let's jump this into real estate here. You have some examples for us today.
Yeah, let's take a look at example one here. Now, in example one, we're looking at a purchase price of a property that's $200,000. It's got an $80,000 down payment, which is 40% of the purchase price. If you look at the gross income at $31,000 and change, operating expense at $12,400, debt service, which is your mortgage payment, at $7,900. Your cash flow before taxes is about $11,500, and that is a cash-on-cash return of 14% or 14.5%. Now, that's the $80,000 returning $11,000 of return. So that's example one. As we move into example two, we're going to look at the exact same property, but instead of putting 40% down, we're only going to put 20% down. And as we put on 20%, we're putting down $40,000. That $40,000 generates the same amount of gross income. It's the same operating expense. However, the debt service is going to go up because you're financing more. So the cash flow before tax is going to go down. However, we only put $40,000 of cash into this investment. So the actual cash-on-cash return went from about 14.5% to 22.33%. So cash-on-cash return really gives you an idea of basically how hard your cash is working on this investment.
So you're actually making a little bit more money on example two, but would you say it's more risk though, right?
Absolutely. You know, that's the one thing you have to understand, the risk related to the investments that you're making. So if you had $80,000 only to invest and you were going to buy one property, you would make 14.5% relative on that one property. If you had $80,000 to invest and you put it into the two properties, took $40,000 on one $200,000 investment and $40,000 on another, you could actually bring your in cash on cash to return to 22.5% or right around there. And that does create more risk. You now have two properties, $400,000 in assets out there, and certainly you're managing more. So understanding what your risk aptitude is and how you want to move forward through these things in the future is really part of going through your analysis and your property investments.
And really determining what your appetite for risk is. Well, thanks so much, John. Very informative as always. Can't wait to see what you have for us next week. And stay with us. There's more on the real estate news right after this.